The story of the US 1-cent coin begins in the early days of the United States, back in 1792, when the country was still finding its footing. The US Mint was established that year, and one of its first tasks was to design and produce coins that would help create a standard currency for the fledgling nation. The 1-cent coin was born out of a need for a small denomination that could be used for everyday transactions. In 1793, the very first 1-cent coin was introduced, and it was called the chain cent made of copper. This early design featured a chain surrounding the word Liberty on the front and a simple wreath on the back. The chain cent didn't last long. It was only minted for a year, but it marked the beginning of what would become an enduring American symbol. In 1796, the design of the penny was updated, and the famous Liberty head was introduced. This design featured a portrait of Lady Liberty, facing left, symbolizing the ideals of freedom and the young nation's aspirations. The reverse side showed a simple wreath, an emblem of unity and strength. The Liberty head design remained in circulation for almost 100 years, with minor tweaks over time. It became a symbol of the United States, an icon representing both the coin itself and the nation's values. As the years went on, Lady Liberty's image was refined, but the essential symbolism remained intact. The next major change came in 1909, when the U.S. Mint introduced the wheat penny, a design that would become one of the most beloved and widely circulated coins in American history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the wheat penny featured an image of Abraham Lincoln on the front, in honor of his 100th birthday. This was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person on the obverse side. The reverse side of the coin depicted two sheaves of wheat, symbolizing agriculture and America's agrarian roots. These wheat pennies were produced in massive quantities, making them a staple in American commerce for several decades. Some years, however, became rarer than others, especially the 1909 SVDB penny, which saw fewer minting due to controversy over engraver Brenner's initials. Today, the 1909 SVDB is one of the most sought-after pennies by collectors. In 1959, the U.S. Mint made another major change to the 1-cent coin. The reverse design was updated to feature the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a tribute to President Abraham Lincoln's legacy. This new design, created by engraver Frank Gasparo, would last for over 50 years and would become the most familiar penny design to generations of Americans. The Lincoln Memorial penny was minted in massive numbers and quickly became a symbol of national pride. Even as the world changed, the image of the Lincoln Memorial stood as a constant reminder of the nation's history and unity. It wasn't until 2009 that the penny received another design update to commemorate Lincoln's 200th birthday. The most recent redesign came in 2010, when the U.S. Mint unveiled the shield cent. The new reverse side features a shield with a banner inscribed with E Pluribus Unum, representing the unity of the nation. This modern design symbolizes both the country's strength and the enduring spirit of liberty that the penny has come to represent. While this design is still in circulation today, it also marks a shift in the penny's composition. The mint switched from a pure copper alloy to a copper-plated zinc composition, as the rising cost of copper made it too expensive to continue minting pennies with copper alone. In terms of its value today, the penny is worth, well, 1 cent. But here's the twist: producing a penny actually costs more than its face value. According to the U.S. Mint, it costs around 2.1 cents to produce a single penny. That's right. It costs more to make a penny than it's worth, which is part of why there's been ongoing debate about whether the U.S. should even keep it around. Despite this, the penny is still in circulation, and it's often found in our everyday lives, whether as loose change in a parking lot or stuck between couch cushions. While most pennies are worth just 1 cent, there are certain rare and collectible pennies that can be worth thousands, even millions of dollars. Take the famous 1943 copper penny, for example. During World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to producing pennies made of steel. However, a few copper pennies were accidentally minted during that time. Today, a 1943 copper penny in good condition can be worth over $1 million. Another example is the 1909 SVDB penny, which is highly coveted by collectors due to its rarity and historical significance. This penny, with the VDB initials of its engraver, can fetch thousands of dollars depending on its condition. So, while most pennies are just pennies, there are a few out there that can turn collectors into millionaires. As we look ahead, the future of the penny remains uncertain. While it still circulates, there are voices calling for its elimination, citing its cost to produce and the increasing push toward a digital economy. However, the penny is deeply embedded in American culture, and whether it stays or goes, its legacy will always remain. So, there you have it, the journey of the US 1-cent coin. From its early days as a symbol of liberty to its current place in American history, the penny has seen it all. Whether it's a valuable collectible or just spare change, the 1-cent coin continues to have a lasting impact. And who knows, you might just find yourself holding on to a rare penny worth a lot more than you think. Thanks for joining me on this fascinating journey through the history and value of the US 1-cent coin. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Who knows what you'll learn next time? Sure! Here's an in-depth and engaging YouTube video script for the US 1-cent coin. The script includes its rich history, value, and surprising worth, structured to keep the audience hooked from start to finish. Let's travel back to 1792. America is just a fledgling nation, fresh from its independence, and one of the first big tasks at hand? Establishing a reliable currency. So, the U.S. Mint was born, and its very first job was to create coins that could represent the nation's values. And in 1793, the first 1-cent coin came into existence. The first U.S. penny was called the chain cent. It was made of pure copper and featured a chain surrounding the word liberty on one side, symbolizing unity and the strength of the new nation. On the reverse side was a simple wreath, representing peace and agriculture, the backbone of early American life. This coin only lasted for a brief time, being minted for just 1 year, but it set the stage for what would become one of the most iconic coins in American history. Fast forward a few decades to 1796, and the U.S. Mint decided it was time to update the penny's design. The Liberty Head penny was introduced, featuring the profile of Lady Liberty on the front, symbolizing the values of freedom, democracy, and national pride. This design would be used for nearly a century, evolving slightly over time but keeping the core image of Lady Liberty as the central symbol. For generations, the Liberty Head penny circulated across the country, becoming a familiar sight in American pockets and representing the ideals of the early United States. The Liberty Head penny was a vital part of everyday life during the 19th century. But by the late 1800s, a new design would take over, one that would become even more iconic. In 1909, the U.S. Mint decided to honor a pivotal figure in American history, President Abraham Lincoln. To mark the 100th anniversary of his birth, the Mint introduced a new design for the penny that would forever change the face of American currency. This new penny featured a portrait of President Lincoln on the front, designed by artist Victor David Brenner. It was the first time in U.S. history that a real person, especially a sitting president, was featured on a coin. On the reverse side, we see two sheaves of wheat, symbolizing America's agricultural heritage and prosperity. This design, known as the wheat penny, would become one of the most beloved and widely circulated coins in American history. It remained in circulation for over half a century, with its familiar design engraved in the minds of generations of Americans. But here's where things get interesting. In 1909, some of these wheat pennies were struck with the initials VDB, the artist's initials, Victor David Brenner, on the reverse. At first, the Mint allowed these initials to appear, but after public complaints, they were quickly removed from circulation. This mistake, however, would make the 1909 SVDB penny one of the most valuable coins ever minted. With only a few 100,000 produced, and only a small fraction still in good condition, these pennies are now worth over $100,000. So if you ever find an old penny, it's worth checking, because you might just have one of these ultra-rare treasures. In 1959, another big change came to the penny. To commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday, the reverse of the penny was redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., an iconic symbol of American history and democracy. The Lincoln Memorial penny would go on to be the design we most associate with the penny today. For over 50 years, this penny was a regular part of American life, continuing to serve as a constant reminder of Lincoln's legacy. But as time marches on, so does the design of the penny. In 2010, the U.S. Mint introduced a new design for the penny, the shield cent. The reverse features a shield with the motto E pluribus unum, out of many, one, symbolizing the unity of the United States. The new shield cent represents the latest step in the penny's evolution. This design is meant to reflect the strength and unity of the country, but what's interesting is that, unlike the previous designs, this one also marked a shift in the penny's composition. With rising copper costs, the mint switched to a copper-plated zinc penny, which is cheaper to produce and more efficient. Now, here's the fun part. Almost pennies are worth just 1 cent. Some rare ones can be worth a small fortune. Take the 1943 copper penny, for example. In 1943, due to a shortage of copper during World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to making pennies from steel. However, a few copper pennies were accidentally struck during that year, and today, these rare 1943 copper pennies are worth a jaw-dropping $1 million. These copper pennies are one of the most valuable coins in the world, but that's not all. There's also the 1955 double-die penny, where the word liberty and the phrase "In God We Trust" are doubled due to a minting error. These can be worth $10,000 or more. So next time you're digging through a jar of pennies, remember, one of those coins could be worth much more than its face value. Now, let's talk about the future of the penny. There's been much debate over whether the U.S. should continue producing pennies, as they cost more to make than they're worth. Some argue that the penny is outdated and should be phased out, while others believe it still holds cultural and historical significance. For now, though, the penny continues to circulate, and its rich history and potential value make it more than just pocket change. The year is 1792, and the United States is in its infancy. The country has just won its independence and is beginning to establish its own financial system. Enter the U.S. Mint, which was founded that same year. The Mint's job was to design and produce a reliable currency for a young nation, and among its first tasks was the creation of the 1-cent coin. In 1793, the U.S. Mint introduced the very first 1-cent coin, called the chain cent, made of copper. This coin featured a chain surrounding the word liberty on the front, symbolizing the unity of the new nation. The reverse side had a simple wreath, representing America's agricultural foundation. While the chain cent wasn't in circulation for long, only a year, it marks the beginning of what would become an iconic and enduring piece of American currency. Transition to a visual of the 1796 Liberty Head cent and other variations of the Liberty Head over the years. Fast forward to 1796, and the design of the penny undergoes a dramatic change. The Mint introduces the Liberty Head design. On the front, we see the profile of Lady Liberty, facing left, a symbol of freedom, strength, and the country's democratic ideals. The reverse side features a wreath of laurel and olive branches, a nod to the nation's unity and peace. This design would become a hallmark of the penny for almost a century, evolving slightly over time but always keeping the image of Lady Liberty front and center. And as the years passed, these coins circulated widely across the country, bringing people together and becoming a part of everyday life. In fact, this coin became one of the most iconic images of early America. But as time marched on, the U.S. Mint decided it was time for another change, one that would take the penny in a new direction. In 1909, something extraordinary happened. The U.S. Mint decided to honor the 100th birthday of one of the nation's greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln. For the first time, a real historical figure would be featured on a U.S. coin. The Lincoln cent was born, and it would change everything. Designed by artist Victor David Brenner, the coin featured a young profile of Lincoln on the obverse side, and on the reverse, 2 sheaves of wheat, hence the name wheat penny. This design became an immediate success, and the Lincoln cent has been in circulation ever since. But there's an interesting twist to this story. In 1909, there was a very limited number of pennies made with Brenner's initials VDB on the reverse side. Due to public controversy over placing the artist's initials on the coin, the U.S. Mint pulled them from circulation after just a short time. That makes the 1909 SVDB penny one of the most sought-after coins by collectors, with some in near-perfect condition fetching over $100,000. So, while the wheat penny became a staple in American pockets, a select few of these pennies have become worth much more than just a cent. In 1959, the U.S. Mint decided it was time for another update. To celebrate Lincoln's 150th birthday, the reverse side of the coin was redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This new design, created by engraver Frank Gasparo, would go on to become one of the most iconic coin designs in history. The Lincoln Memorial penny, with its image of the grand memorial that honors Lincoln, stood as a tribute to one of the greatest leaders in American history. For over 50 years, this penny circulated as a symbol of the nation's values and its commitment to freedom and equality. For generations, this design was a constant, and it became the penny most of us remember from our childhood. But as the 21st century arrived, the Mint decided to celebrate Lincoln's legacy with a new redesign to mark his bicentennial. In 2009, the U.S. Mint released 4 different reverse designs as part of the Lincoln Bicentennial series to celebrate his 200th birthday. These designs depicted important moments in Lincoln's life, from his early years in Kentucky to his time as president. Each design highlighted a different chapter in Lincoln's legacy, making this year a historic one for the penny. This was a rare instance when the design of the penny changed multiple times in one year, making the 2009 Lincoln pennies even more interesting to collectors. Certain versions of these pennies have already become collectibles, with some selling for more than their face value. Fast forward to 2010, and the U.S. Mint introduces the Shield cent. The new design features a shield with a banner inscribed with E Pluribus Unum, symbolizing the unity of the states. The front of the coin, however, remains unchanged, still featuring the familiar portrait of Lincoln. While the Shield cent is the most current version of the penny, it reflects a shift in the way the U.S. Mint is looking at coins in the modern age. The Mint now uses copper-plated zinc to create pennies instead of pure copper, which helps reduce production costs. Today, the Shield cent is the penny most of us are used to seeing in our daily transactions. But even with its updated design, the penny still faces the same question it has for years: is it time for the U.S. to get rid of it altogether? Now, here's the exciting part. While most pennies are worth just 1 cent, some rare and error pennies can be worth a fortune. Take the 1943 copper penny. During World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to making pennies out of steel, but a few copper pennies were accidentally struck. Today, these rare copper pennies can fetch over $1 million. Another rare penny is the 1955 double-die penny, where the word liberty and in God we trust are doubled, making it a highly collectible era coin. A 1955 double-die penny can be worth up to $10,000, depending on its condition. So, while most pennies may seem insignificant, a few have become extremely valuable. And that means, hidden among your loose change, you might have a penny worth far more than you think. So, there you have it, the story of the U.S. 1-cent coin. From its early days as a symbol of unity to its place in the modern world, the penny is a piece of history that's far more than just pocket change. Whether it's part of your daily transactions or a rare treasure hiding in your collection, the penny continues to have an impact. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history and surprising worth of the 1-cent coin, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin content, and let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare penny that might be worth something special. See you next time. We all know the humble 1-cent coin. It's a staple in our pockets, always around, but how much do we really know about it? In this video, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating history, evolution, and sometimes surprising value of the US 1-cent coin. Stick with us, and you might just be shocked at what this little piece of copper can be worth. The journey of the 1-cent coin began in the early 1790s, at a time when the United States was still figuring out its identity as a nation. In fact, it was one of the first coins to be minted by the newly established U.S. Mint, which was founded in 1792. Back then, the idea was simple: provide a small denomination coin to facilitate everyday transactions. The very first 1-cent coins were known as the chain cent and were produced in 1793. These coins were made of copper and had a simple design featuring a chain surrounding the word liberty, with a central image of a wreath. Although the chain cent wasn't the most popular design, it set the tone for the coin's role in the economy. But just a year later, a new design came into play. The wreath cent. This coin was more streamlined and symbolic of America's strength. In 1796, the U.S. Mint released a design that would go on to be iconic, the Liberty Head cent. With a profile of Lady Liberty on the obverse, this design would be in circulation for nearly a century. It became a symbol of freedom, strength, and American ideals. Over the years, the coin underwent minor modifications, but the essence of Lady Liberty continued to grace the coin. It was an embodiment of the nation's aspirations and a testament to the mint's evolving approach to coin design. Fast forward to 1909, and we see the emergence of one of the most famous U.S. coins, the wheat penny. Designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, this coin featured two sheafs of wheat on the reverse side and an image of Abraham Lincoln on the front. The Lincoln cent was introduced to commemorate President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, and it quickly became a beloved coin. Over the next several decades, the wheat penny would be minted in large quantities, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American history. Today, collectors often hunt for rare dates and mint marks, with certain years, like the 1909 SVDB, being especially prized for their rarity. In 1959, the U.S. Mint made a big change, transitioning the reverse design from the wheat sheafs to the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute to the nation's 16th president. This new design, created by engraver Frank Gasparo, remained in circulation for decades, solidifying the Lincoln cent's place in American culture. But the design was updated once again in 2009 to celebrate Lincoln's 200th birthday. This time, the coin featured 4 different reverse designs, each representing a significant moment in Lincoln's life. In 2010, the design of the penny changed once more, and this time, it brought a shield to the reverse side. The shield cent, as it's called, shows a shield with a banner that reads E Pluribus Unum, symbolizing the unity of the states. This design is still in circulation today. The penny's modern value and controversy. 10/01/12:00 Now, if we're talking about the value of a 1-cent coin today, it might surprise you to learn that it's worth less than its face value. That's right. The cost of producing a penny has long exceeded its value. According to the U.S. Mint, it costs about 2.1 cents to produce a single penny. Because of this, there has been ongoing debate about whether the U.S. should eliminate the penny altogether. Some say the penny is obsolete, while others argue it still serves an important role in making precise payments. While most pennies are, well, just pennies, some can be worth far more than their face value. For example, rare and error coins can fetch thousands of dollars at auctions. Take the 1943 copper penny, for instance. Due to a mistake at the mint, A few copper pennies were struck during World War II when most pennies were made from steel. Today, a 1943 copper penny in good condition could be worth over $1 million. Another example is the 1909 SVDB penny. Because of its limited production and the controversial removal of engraver Victor David Brenner's initials on later coins, this penny can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on its condition. A close-up of a handful of pennies spilling out of a jar, transitioning to a final shot of a penny on a table. The US 1-cent coin has a rich history, filled with significant designs, political moments, and even financial debates. While its practical value today may be small, it continues to hold a place in American culture and history. Whether you see it as pocket change or a rare treasure, the 1-cent coin is far from ordinary. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the history and value of the US penny. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more fascinating history and trivia. And who knows, maybe you've got a rare penny hiding in your wallet right now. You've probably seen one of these hundreds, if not thousands, of times in your life, the trusty US 1-cent coin. But have you ever stopped to think about its journey through time? How much it's worth, or what makes it so significant? Today, we're going to take a deep dive into the fascinating world of the US penny, its history, its value, and even how some pennies can be worth a small fortune. Buckle up, because the humble penny has a surprisingly big story to tell. In 1793, the very first 1-cent coin was created. It was called the chain cent, and it was made of pure copper. The design was simple yet powerful, the word liberty encircled by a chain on the obverse, symbolizing the unity of the newly formed nation. The reverse side featured a simple wreath, representing America's agricultural roots. Though the chain cent was only minted for a year, its creation marked the beginning of what would become a symbol of the United States for generations to come. It didn't last long, but it laid the groundwork for the penny's important role in American life. For almost 100 years, these pennies circulated widely, carrying the symbol of Lady Liberty into the hands of generations of Americans. But by the early 20th century, it was clear that the penny needed a new direction. In 1909, everything changed. The U.S. Mint decided to honor one of the greatest figures in American history, President Abraham Lincoln. To commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday, the Mint introduced a brand new design for the penny, one that would change the course of American coinage forever. The new design, created by Victor David Brenner, featured a portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This was the first time a real person, let alone a sitting president, was depicted on a U.S. coin. On the reverse side, we see two sheaves of wheat, representing America's agricultural strength and the nation's values. This iconic design became known as the wheat penny and would be in circulation for over 50 years. The Lincoln cent, as it's officially called, remains in use to this day, making it the longest-running design on a U.S. coin. But not all wheat pennies are created equal. In 1909, an era was made that would lead to one of the most coveted coins in American numismatic history. Brenner's initials VDB appeared on the reverse side of the coin for the first time, but due to public backlash, the Mint decided to remove them after just a short time. However, a few of these VDB pennies were already minted. These 1909 SVDB pennies are now some of the most valuable in existence. With fewer than 500,000 minted and only a few in pristine condition, these rare pennies can fetch well over $100,000 at auction today. So, next time you find an old penny, it might be worth taking a second look. You could be holding onto a small fortune. In 1959, the U.S. Mint made another monumental change. To celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the reverse side of the penny was redesigned to feature the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design, created by engraver Frank Gasparo, would go on to define the penny for more than 5 decades. For over 50 years, the Lincoln Memorial penny was a fixture in American currency. It became a symbol of Lincoln's enduring legacy, and its familiar design was known to generations of Americans. The penny continued to be widely circulated, even as the world around it changed. This redesign also marked a change in the penny's composition, as the cost of copper made it less economical to continue minting pure copper pennies. Today, the penny is made of copper-plated zinc, helping to reduce production costs. Despite these changes, the shield cent continues to serve as a symbol of the enduring legacy of the U.S. 1-cent coin. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. While most pennies are worth just 1 cent, some rare and rarer pennies can be worth a lot more than that. One of the most valuable pennies ever discovered is the 1943 copper penny. During World War II, the U.S. Mint switched to making pennies out of steel, but a few copper pennies were accidentally struck during the process. Today, these 1943 copper pennies can be worth over $1 million. Another rare penny is the 1955 double-die penny, which features a noticeable doubling of the lettering. These error coins can fetch up to $10,000, depending on their condition. So, the next time you find an old penny, don't just throw it away. It could be worth much more than its face value. As we look to the future, there's been much debate about whether the penny should continue to be minted. Some argue that it costs more to produce a penny than it's worth, while others believe it holds too much historical and cultural significance to phase out. No matter what happens, the penny's story is far from over. And there you have it, the incredible history and surprising worth of the U.S. 1-cent coin. From its humble beginnings to its place in American culture, the penny has come a long way. Who knows, you might just have a rare penny hidden in your pocket right now that's worth a small fortune. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more fun facts and history on your favorite coins. See you next time.